All right, welcome to another episode of Richie Spots. It's been a while since I've done an episode, so I've just been busy with stuff in life, school, all the good stuff. So I figured to return back to Twitch in a way that would seem like home, I guess, is to basically do a Richie Spots. Now, I already have recorded a Richie Spots, and that was basically ready to go as far as like YouTube upload is concerned. But what ended up happening was that some more stuff came out that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't really feel like just recording a new segment or just adding another voice clip to the video in itself because it was already edited. It was already all that stuff. So I figured, whatever. I'll delete it and just re-record the episode, but just with the stuff I wanted to additionally talk about based on like the topics at hand and the stuff in regards to you know the crossover of Scooby Doo and Courage, Crash Bandicoot, just like my thoughts and guesses for his 25th anniversary, his prospects in Smash after the latest reveal, and then just some other stuff that might be worth talking about. So that's what I wanted to do here. So here's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna talk about the crossover first because that is like something a bit new that I've always wanted to talk about, and I think it's been like a topic of interest of mine ever since the project got revealed. And then obviously Crash Bandicoot, and then the rest of the show will probably just be topics that I happen to find interesting, worth of discussion, and just I guess worth of opinion. Yeah, so let's just get that straight, and then we'll just get right into it. I don't really expect views on this one because I feel like this is better to just stream it onto Twitch and then upload it to YouTube because it's practically ready by then. So I am gonna do that. But if anyone wants me to answer questions, if they ever do this, ever do decide to type in chat, I'd be more than happy to answer. Just obviously follow the chat rules, and you're good to go. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Okay, so the first thing, like I said, I wanted to talk about is the Courage slash Scooby Doo crossover. Now, I'm surprised that this is happening now. Not because of the times we're in or anything like that, because obviously it has been tough on like the film industry ever since COVID started, to where the quarantine, the whole lack of vaccination, the social distancing, and just like the rules that have been set in place during these times. That's not why I'm saying, I'm surprised that it's happening now. The reason why I'm saying it's a surprise now is because number one, it's always been a match in heaven that Scooby Doo and Courage the Cowardly Dog are like the two shows I feel like that are pretty damn similar in a way, to the point where if you wanted to do a crossover with them, it could definitely work. Because think about it, right? They both had like this mysterious atmosphere. Although I would say that Courage is a little bit more on the side of frights, and Scooby Doo is more so on the investigative side, where they're investigating like, this weird phenomenon or this weird case of, this evil villain that turns out to be a guy in a costume or just some sort of operation. Courage, meanwhile, literally deals with like the shit that a normal human being, unless you're in the fucking detective world with scary natural phenomenons, Courage deals with shit like a fucking talking duck, an evil fucking psychotic cat. He deals with a fucking mole. He deals with like a fucking were-mole. Like werewolf, and you have the mole, and the mole just goes absolutely insane. You are dealing with a talking fox that just wants to eat your caretaker alive in the soup. There's just so much shit that Courage deals with that I feel like, just based off of how those plot lines are perceived and are executed, I feel like Courage is obviously more of a scary show than Scooby. Because the thing with Scooby Doo is that there is a lot more comedic value there. Now, don't get me wrong, Courage does have comedic value as well, and I think they do an excellent job of like having a natural balance to where they can do some really funny moments that make you forget that this is a scary show, while also at the same time still, again, reaffirming that hey, we can still be pretty fucking scary every once in a while. Just watch us do this. So I think personally, I think these two shows in general are like a perfect match for crossover. And as I said before, I'm surprised that it's taken them this long because I figured around like the early 2000s they would have at least tried. I figured they would have at least tried to see like um, where they could have just maybe make something work. Maybe because maybe Dilworth couldn't like do it or anything like that. Um, I don't know. We don't know like the whole reason. If you guys remember like the old commercials, right? The old commercials where, you know, they did the thing called, I think, what was it, the Scooby Doo and Courage Scarathon or something like that. Basically, for those of you that don't know, even though I probably got the name wrong, it was pretty much just like a marathon of Scooby Doo episodes and Courage episodes. And I think apparently there was like a contest or a voting contest to where if you voted for like the show, you can the winner will obviously have their show marathon. And I think Courage won, if I remember correctly. But the thing that was really important about this discussion, or what is important about this discussion in regards to those commercials, is that they did commercials to where, or yeah, they did some shots where basically the Scooby Doo gang shows up at the house because the battery's dead in their van, and then they walk in, they sit around the house fire, I guess, fire inside the house. I mean, would you call it a campfire or a house fire? Whatever. But anyway, so they sit around the campfire, whatever. They do some scary stories, and then it goes from there. But just watching those commercials, if you guys know what I'm talking about, they have this feeling where you can make something work with these two shows. Because again, like I said, the atmosphere is very similar in both shows. The characters have like similar objectives. You also have an iconic character that's pretty much your main one. Now, of course, some people may argue that, oh, well, maybe, yeah, Scooby Doo is iconic, but maybe some of these other characters are more iconic than him. Like, some people think that, oh, maybe Shaggy's just better. But I always have this firm belief that it will always be Scooby Doo. It will always be Scooby Doo. So, Scooby and Courage are the same in that aspect, where they're just pretty much the mascot animal for the show. And to me, I think that's good enough. Now, in regards to the special, basically for those that don't know, because obviously it feels like to me that the announcement was kind of a shadow drop, which is nothing wrong, of course, but it felt like to me that it wasn't on like a national scale as I thought it would be. I don't know, just because, it's fucking Scooby-Doo and Courage the Cowardly Dog, you would think, it would be a little bit more. Now, I'm sure people were talking about on Twitter quite a bit, but I mean national in the grand scheme of things, like, on like the national news, because, they always love talking about Scooby-Doo. So, so basically what I'm talking about is that basically the title for this special is Straight Out of Nowhere. Yeah, so it's Scooby-Doo and Courage the Cowardly Dog, Straight Out of Nowhere. And basically the plot from the trailer, as we see, is basically they show up, Scooby-Doo and the gang, they show up in Kansas, which is where Courage the Cowardly Dog show Sunny is. They go to the middle of nowhere, and basically the plot looks like its main, what's the word I'm thinking of? Its main villains, I guess, are like these flies. They're like these insects that I guess are apparently taking over the area. So basically they got to deal with that, and then obviously, I feel like the cliches of Courage and Scooby-Doo, if you combine both of them, are like so similar, you could probably make out the plot without watching the movie. Now, the reason why I'm going to watch the movie is just because, obviously I love both shows, and I definitely want to see how they handle the character interactions, because, the thing that people always talk about when it comes to these crossovers is how do the characters interact with each other? Do the characters really talk to each other? Do they accomplish stuff with one another? What do they do? And people really care about that a lot. especially in this kind of crossover where basically it's like two iconic characters in one movie, TV movie, I guess, or straight to DVD release, whatever you want to call it. So, and I think just because of the fact that both of these dogs are like again pretty similar in character with like a few bit of differences, I feel that there's not going to be a problem of like having these two really work together. I mean, obviously because they both talk, they both are scared shitless when they see something that's just gonna, make it go row, something like that. So I think Scooby and Courage are not going to have that issue that some of these crossovers I feel like have, where it's like, oh, how the hell are these two characters going to work together? Like, they're just there for references. They're just there for nostalgic points. And it looks like, if you watch the trailer, they do a really good job from what we can see so far, that they actually are trying to make it work. Not just, we're here for references. We're here for just the fact that, these two are together now. You guys are happy now? And then afterwards, they don't just put in any effort. So that's the thing I appreciate about the trailer so far, is that I don't get the feeling that it's cheap. I get the feeling that it's really authentic, and I get the feeling that it's going to be a really good treat for both shows. Now, the thing that I also am curious to see is because obviously we know that the insects, these fine little insect fucks, are involved. Now, I'm pretty sure that there's probably going to be like the main head honcho that's like, that's like going to run this whole thing. Now, here's the thing though. There's normally a couple ways that both of these shows handled this. I think it's mostly on Scooby Doo, but here's the thing, right? How would they handle the villain? And by that, I mean, how did they handle like the conflict of the villain? Because normally in some of these shows, they obviously set up the villain in a way where it's like, oh, this guy's a bad guy or a bad woman throughout the entire time. While some of these villains are just like, oh, they were once good people, but then something happens, and then they're just like, fuck this, I'm going to the dark side. So it's like, well, what are they going to do here? I get the feeling that it's probably going to be the second thing, which is, again, if you didn't just hear, is basically, oh, maybe the villain was once like a good person, right? And then something happens, and then they just like say, fuck this, I'm going to the dark side. I have a funny feeling just based off the way I'm seeing from the trailer and just the vibes I'm getting. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen. Now, of course, they could just completely say fuck that and just turn it into a thing where it's like, oh yeah, I've always been a piece of shit. It's like, I've always been a piece of shit. What are you talking about? But I feel like since they're putting in Scooby Doo, which I feel like a lot of the Scooby Doo villains, they generally are dicks, but they're the type of dicks where it's like, oh, they weren't always dicks before. Like some of the most iconic Scooby Doo villains, human side, of course. I think there's like a few creatures where they weren't bad, where they were somewhat misunderstood, but they were still like unjustified in whatever they were trying to do, just because they wanted to be extreme about it. I feel like that's what they're going to do, just based off the fact that I feel like it's mostly a Scooby-Doo special with just Courage in it. Now, actually, that's the other thing I want to talk about, too. And, yeah, we're going to talk about a couple more things about this, and then we're going to move on. I do wonder how they're going to balance out, like, the aspects of both Scooby-Doo and Courage. And by that, I'm referring to, is this going to be more so of a, again, Scooby-Doo special? Is this going to be more so of, Courage? Like, how's it going to be handled? Because, as I mentioned before, with the unique features of both shows, you do have to, like, wonder, how do you balance out, like, both shows? Like, how would you, like, handle that? Because, like I said, Scooby-Doo has, like, more of the unpredictability within, like, the resolvement of the villain, while Courage, I feel like, just does, like, this thing where they try to capture your fear in, like, a certain height. Like, they raise up the what's the term? They raise up, like, the fright in your height, And then when it's so high enough, then they're just gonna be like, all right, time to let it go down. So it's basically a tower of terror to where it's like we push you all the way up, and then we push you all the way down, and then we're just gonna release every bit of fright that's in your body. That's what Courage the Cowardly Dog is. So I just want to know how they balance out the aspects of both of those shows. So I think, in my opinion, they're gonna do a fair balance of both. I think I think it's gonna be the first half. It's gonna be Courage. Now I say first half because the whole point of Courage, like I said, is that they do a pretty good job of like raising up the fear a bit, and then they get you when you don't like either expect it, or they sort of make it obvious in a way. But you have to be like a very, not a seasoned veteran, but it's more like you have to be that type of person that understands like the references and understand what they're actually saying, because they could say something that leads to the clue, but you didn't realize it because you weren't listening to like, oh, the one part of the sentence. That's what I feel like Courage does really well in. Now Scooby Doo does that as well, but I feel like Courage just does that better based on the fact of the dynamic and just how unpredictable the outcomes of the villains are, because it's somewhat different every time, but they're normally defeated. While Scooby Doo, I feel like just is somewhat predictable because you know that the person's probably going to end up being a person in a costume, except for, like I said, a few times where there are natural creatures. So I feel like the first half is going to be the Courage unpredictability nature, and it's going to end off with a Scooby Doo type ending where it's like, oh, it's going to become it's going to become a little bit more obvious to the viewer, and then when it gets to the point where everyone should practically know, then you come out and say, hey, by the way, this is who the villain was. Like, take off the costume face, and then it's just like, Mr. Jenkins from outer space. So it's like, that's what I feel like that's what they're gonna do. Now, I could be wrong, they could switch it around, but I feel like that makes sense because Scooby-Doo is more so on the resolution, while Courage the Cowardly Dog is more so on the setup. And I think that makes perfect sense based on what I've seen from the shows. And I'm sure, for those of you watching on Twitch or YouTube, I'm pretty sure if you watch both shows in a very good amount, you can probably get the same feeling. Now, I guess one of the last things I should probably mention about this before we move on is, do I think this movie will be good? Now, for some people, it might be an obvious question, but it's sometimes kind of hard to answer because you have to look at a lot of things, right? You have to look at the setting of the movie. You have to look at the character interactions. You have to look at the plot. You have to look at how this movie is being set up. You have to look at those things. And I feel like this one trailer, while it does do a pretty good job of giving us an idea, it doesn't give us the entire picture to the point where we can absolutely say that, hey, this movie's going to be fucking great. Or, of course, this movie could be shit. Who knows? But I have a good feeling that this movie won't be bad. I feel like it's going to be so hard to predict, and maybe I'm wrong about this. Just off the trailer, I feel like this movie's going to be like a fucking either a 7.5 or an 8.5. Now, 7.5 is actually pretty fucking low if you think about it, because both of these shows are really fucking good. I feel like Scooby-Doo doesn't run into the same issue as Simpsons does, because the thing with The Simpsons that some people are saying is that The Simpsons is running way too damn long to the point where it's just like, yeah, it's just the same shit almost every time. We want something a little bit different. We just want to, why is it still on the air type of deal. And same shit with Family Guy. Like, literally, you can never watch like a clip of the new Family Guy without people bitching about it. About like, oh, it's just the same shit. It's just not funny. Now, of course, I could be biased towards Scooby-Doo because maybe people feel the same way. But I feel like with Scooby-Doo, they at least trying to do something a bit more different. They try to do something that's not like the same shit every time. So I give them that over Family Guy. But anyways, back to the main question. So 7.5 for me, I feel like is a bit generous in terms of how low I can go. Now, of course, it could be like a 7. It'd be the same thing practically. So here's what I'm looking for. Here are the few things I'm looking forward to see how this movie does in terms of like whether or not this will make or break. So this is what I think. They definitely need to do a good job of the character interaction to where It's not just, oh, I'm here for references. I'm just here just because, oh, we're both working together. I want there to be genuine character interaction that means something towards the plot and means also to the character plot in itself. Now you're probably wondering, what do I mean by character plot? I mean more so in the sense that, oh, this character is talking to the other character in like this objective setting. We want to see those two characters work together and see how they handle each other or handle themselves in a conflict. Now, of course, you're going to get that with Scooby and Courage. I mean, there's just no question about it. But I just want to know how far those interactions can go. Besides, I mean, beyond more than just Courage and Scooby. I just want to see how that goes personally. Um, and the other thing too is, I mean, obviously the setting's not going to be very much of an issue. I mean, the thing about the setting I'll say real quick is that I feel like the setting has to be a bit relevant to the movie. Now, obviously, we're going to be at Courage's house and stuff, and that's always going to be relevant. But I want like the other settings where it's not the town that they're in, the Courage farmhouse. I want the setting to feel like it's actually a theme of the movie and not just some off-branded bullshit where it's just like obvious that it's there, but it doesn't like make sense in the context of like the objective and the plot of the movie. You know what I mean? So I'm just looking forward to character reactions, good plot that makes sense. The setting makes sense. And I guess the last thing, just to throw it in here, is how does this movie do a good job in explaining all these things? Because to me, I feel like it doesn't matter if you have like, oh, a great setting, great plot, and whatever, but if you don't actually do anything with it, then it's just what we call wasted potential. Like, you got to do something with that plot that makes it a really good movie. And I think this movie has a great ton of potential to be one of the better crossover movies within the cartoon world. That's what I feel. But it's only going to be that way, or it's going to turn out that way if they play their cards right. Which I feel like, based off watching the trailer, I don't think it's going to be hard to accomplish. They would have to fuck up so bad for it to just be like a very shitty movie. And I'd be upset if it was a shitty movie, or if it turns out to be a shitty movie, because it's like both of these shows are really good. They have like a classic rich history of like their importance within the industry. Because think about it, Scooby Doo was like one of those first iconic cartoon characters that just hit the scene when he did around like the 1900s, and it's just like, you know, everyone knows Scooby Doo for being like this really witty, zitty, funny character that is kind of scary, but it's something to where it's family friendly, so everyone in the family can watch. Like, it doesn't matter that you're a newborn, it doesn't matter if you're 5 years old, 10 years old, 25, 50, 70, whatever. You could be fucking in heaven and you'd be enjoying Scooby Doo. I feel like that Scooby Doo is just like one of the most important like franchises that we can ever like have in this world. And Courage, while he may not be on the same grand scale totally as Scooby Doo, he still has like this massive impact on like the people that watch the Cartoon Network shows around like the 1990s. I think more specifically around the late 1990s, where it's like, if anyone who watches like or remembers the old Cartoon Network and you've seen Courage the Cowardly Dog, you would know how much that shit used to fucking scare you. I mean, so many times I've watched like videos of Courage, clips of Courage and shit like that, and it's just like, so many people have said in the comments, oh, I just remember watching Courage, and it used to scare me and stuff like that. That's literally 80 to 90, almost 98% of the comments are the general consensus of fucking Courage. It's just that, oh, it's a really good show, but it's fucking scary. It's like, you put that with Scooby Doo, there's no way you can fail, right? But of course, we don't know that, so I'll hold my judgment until that. So yeah, my final thoughts are that I have high hopes for this movie, just based off the nostalgic properties, which yes, I am admitting nostalgic biasness a little bit, but I genuinely do hope that this movie does really well. I really hope it does well. I would love to see this movie, again, do really well. And like I said, I hope the plot makes sense, the characters interacting with each other makes sense. I hope that the overall theme of the movie and everything like that is in a better, not better state, but more so, I mean better state as well, but I mean more so of like better, Maybe I mean better say. I don't know, but you get the idea. I just want this movie to do well because there's no reason for it to really fail, considering what they have in their arsenal. There's just no fucking reason, none. But of course, like I said, we don't know that, so we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, that's the end of the Courage and Scooby Doo discussion. I think it's going to do well, really well, but like I said, we'll see about that. Now the next thing we're going to talk about is Crash Bandicoot. Now you guys are probably wondering, what is there to talk about with Crash Bandicoot? Well, there are a couple subjects I want to talk about with Crash Bandicoot: his 25th anniversary and his Smash prospects after the Kazuha reveal, or Kazuya, I think, but you get the idea. Okay, so basically, the first thing I want to talk about is his 25th anniversary. The prospects of that, and then we'll get into the Smash stuff. So, to talk about his 25th anniversary, last June, right? I've been saying on Twitter, and I've said this in like the last few videos I've made about him. I made this prediction based off the trend, based off of what we got, that we will get something Crash Bandicoot related in June. Now, I didn't predict a Smash reveal in the topic of the 25th anniversary. I said that maybe we could get like a game reveal. Maybe we could get something major for the show, for the franchise. And it felt like to me that it was just a no-brainer, because ever since June 2016, when Crash Insane Trilogy got revealed at E3 2016, it felt like to me that just based off the fact that we've been getting stuff revealed or stuff released on that exact month ever since then, I felt like it was a no-brainer for them to do that here. Especially because it's a 25th anniversary. You know that, for 25th anniversaries that, for companies that generally do care about their character there, that would do like a lot for such. I thought it was like a no-brainer for them to just simply go in there and be like, yo, we're going to announce like this new game or something brand new that justifies it being a 25th anniversary type of deal. So here you guys go. This is how it's going to look. This is how it's going to play and whatever. But they didn't do that. And I was actually surprised because, again, it was the trend that they would always do this shit. Now, of course, like I said, trends in some ways can be broken. Doesn't matter how long it's been. It could be like for 25 years, 50 years, whatever. It basically doesn't matter. But I figured, again, with the emphasis on the 25th anniversary, and just based off the fact that Activision themselves said in a statement when they announced the Crash 4 ports for the Switch and PC, they mentioned that, throughout the year, there'll be fantastic festivities that'll engage Crash Bandicoot fans throughout the year. So with that in mind, I figured, okay, maybe just off the fact that there was so much, or not so much, but there was like a good amount of stuff released over time into June ever since 2016, I figured, okay, there might be something there. But they didn't do that. And there might be a couple reasons for this. Maybe the most obvious one, probably. The most obvious first one we should probably talk about is maybe they just didn't have anything planned for a June release. Which is true, because, maybe they intended on, releasing something during September. Now, why September in question? Well, September is actually Crash's actual birth month in the sense of game release, because his first game was released on September 9th, 1996. So some people technically consider that as his original birthday. Now, of course, apparently a few days ago or whatever, at the time of this recording, there was apparently an actual Crash Bandicoot origin birthday or some shit like that. But I still consider September 9th to be like an origin point for him, because that was literally when his first game was ever released. So some people, by that logic, just consider that as his birthday. So I'm just going to consider that as his, actual birthday until, I get, proven wrong otherwise by someone factual. Yeah, so basically back to what I was saying. So yeah, basically, maybe they just have anything. Maybe they didn't have anything planned for a June release, and that's fine. And maybe they figured, oh, it'd be better to coincide with his birth month in September, so that way we could put more emphasis on the fact that, oh, it's his 25th anniversary. We want it to be a big deal, so let's release it during that month. Now we are still expecting stuff for On the Run, because one of the upcoming seasons that was leaked in the paste bin or whatever, or actually I don't think it was on the paste bin, but it was basically leaked in a way. But one of the upcoming seasons for On the Run, which is Crash's mobile game, is that at some point, I think in September or August, late August, I think, the next one of the new seasons around then is going to be around the 25th anniversary. And they already leaked out the Crash on Titan skin. They've already thrown off some Twin Sandy references. The Wrath of Cortex elementals, I think they were also mentioned in there. So they're basically stockpiling that for September. Now, it could mean nothing. It just mean only for the game itself. But I feel like if you're going to add that much references and appearances from past games of certain characters into your mobile game like that, that tells me that there's probably going to be something big in September. Maybe like an announcement of a new game. And the one game that everyone keeps talking about that might be the one is Wumpa League. Now, Wumpa League has been like a very inconsistent spot. It's been a very inconsistent spot because it's, it's out there in the sense that, oh, it's like legit in the sense of discussion. And, there's been back and forth of whether or not it's actually canceled or it's still in production or whatever. To me, I feel like it does exist to a certain extent, but I don't know how far down that hole is it like legit enough to where they can like maybe announce it in September and maybe they release it in the summer. Now, of course, they've done this thing where they announced, if you guys remember, they announced Nitro Fueled, which is Crash Team Racing's remake. Remake. I was about to say remix. I meant to say remake. If you guys remember that back in December 2018, they announced the game in December 2018, even though they were already kind of hinting at it prior. Basically, they announced the game in that month of December 2018, and then they released the game in June 2019. So it's not impossible for them to announce like the new game or whatever it is in September and then have a summer release. It's just not impossible. I think if anything, it gives 2 to 3 more extra months for like any finishing up of production, tinkering with the bugs, making sure the glitches are like not crazy, stuff like that. Just basically doing like final tinkering to where your game is good enough to be released onto the market. Cyberpunk 2077, stuff like that. But anyways, back to the main point. So it's not impossible for them to like do a September announcement, and then they do like a June release, or maybe if they want, they could do like a July release or August. Who knows? So I think it's gonna be okay. I don't know if it's gonna be Wumpa League. I don't think it's gonna be like a main series game because we just got off of Crash 4, and I feel like they normally maybe they'll announce it this year, but they won't release it until like way later next year. Maybe that's what they're gonna do. If they do decide to do a main series game, then that's probably the route that they're going to take. Because I feel like, unless they're going to do what they did before, where Naughty Dog did before, I should say, where they released Crash Bandicoot in 1996, like September, and then literally the very next month they started production on Crash 2, like what the month after. So maybe they did that, but just the feeling I'm getting based on what we know as the public from like actual reporters, not the ones that have like a purple profile picture and talk shit and act unprofessional. Just the feeling we get from people that know what they're talking about. I get the feeling that maybe there just isn't like a new game in production, and maybe they just have like some stuff around from Crash 4 where it was considered Wumpa League, because maybe Wumpa League is not going to be like a brand new game. Maybe it's going to be like a fucking attachment to Crash 4 where it's like, oh, if you buy this attachment, it's basically like a multiplayer league or whatever. Maybe they'll do that. I'm not sure. I feel like if you want to do something to where you could do it kind of quick, maybe that'll be the better route instead of like maybe releasing a brand new game for like $60. But who knows? You know, that's really not up to the developers. That's usually up to like the publishers, and then from there we'll see like what happens. So yeah, basically at the end of that, I think the possibility of like a brand new game entirely, like, you know, main series game, 50-50. Maybe around like 45%, because I don't want it to happen so soon, especially with like the stuff going on with Activision Blizzard, and just like, yeah, no, Activision Blizzard doesn't own Crash Bandicoot, but you know, it still is an Activision company. It still is within that division. So obviously there's like a lot of mess in regard to that. So, and also not just because of that as well, but just like the fact that I feel like there's many things that they could do for the 25th anniversary that's just like maybe a little bit more worth their time. And maybe just because like it'd be better to like release like a party game that's not Crash Bash. That's not a Crash Bash remake, but it's Crash Bash, I guess, in that sense. So it, for those wondering, oh, do I think it would be better for them to release it as like an attachment or release it as a brand new game, like full brand new game? It doesn't really matter too much to me. If they wanted it to be a little bit more quicker, then maybe they'll just do like a release it as like an attachment, DLC attachment or whatever to like Crash for his base game. And because the same way like it does it goes in Sword and Shield of Pokemon, where it's like, oh, the area is in the game, you can see it, you just can't access it until like you buy like this DLC attachment to it. Maybe they'll do something like that. I don't know if they probably can at this point with Crash 4 already being out for so long, but maybe what they'll do is maybe they'll just basically just do it that way of Pokemon. But I don't think they will. I think it's gonna be like I think more than likely it's just gonna be like a brand new full game release, which I don't very mind, because one way or another it's still Crash Bandicoot. But I feel like it's important that at some point we know what's going on. I have a funny feeling that before the end of this year we're gonna figure out the fate of Wumpa League, because it would be kind of cynical where we still wouldn't fucking know, and we go into next year still not knowing that shit. Like, I feel like this has to be the year that we have to know, because again, if we go into next year and we don't know whether or not Wumpa League is a thing, I don't think it's gonna be a thing. I don't think it survives until I don't think it survives next year. It just doesn't. It just does not. Okay. Now, the overall thoughts about the 25th anniversary so far is they had like a really good start. I feel like the start of the 25th anniversary was pretty good. So far though, since then, it just has not really been the same. I don't know, not the same, but it's more like I just don't know if they are really living up to the part where they said, "Oh, we're gonna engage Crash Bandicoot fans in a fantastic festivities." I don't get that kind of feeling at all. They did like that for the first half of the year, but ever since like the ports release, it's been kind of meh. Now, of course, they've been doing like the social media posts with the hashtag Crash25 before 25, and then they did all this shit where they have the guy in the Crash Bandicoot costume going to various locations, and then they released some few art photos. One of which has like a lot of people talking. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, I'm referring to the one where Crash is putting stuff into this scrap box. It looks like where it looks like he's about to travel somewhere. And obviously there's like a variety of things that you can see from almost each game. Like, for example, there's photos of basically, the free games that are remade. Like, you have Crash and St. Trilogy on one photo. You have Nitro Fury in the other. And then the third one, you have Crash 4. And then, obviously, for inside the box, you see, again, various, not trivia items. But you see, what's the word? You basically have a variety of, I forgot the word. Wow, how do I not know this? It's not trivia either. Easter eggs. There we go. You have a variety of Easter eggs that are from each of the Crash Bandicoot games that we've seen in the remake timeline, I guess, whatever. Although I still think they're kind of the same universe in a sense, which is practically confirmed off of Crash 4. But basically, from there, it's it's basically the fact that they have a variety of Easter eggs in the box, which is the trophy, some of the other stuff from like those games, and then the thing that got a lot of people talking were a couple things: Crash's actual list and the half way of the top cover of his box. Now, inside the list are like a variety of things. Obviously, it's mentioned some of the things that we've seen before in the social media posts, and then like there's a few down the bottom that are social media posts that are definitely going to be talked about or shown soon. And but the thing is that the way that they're making the list look in the art photo makes it very, very vague, because there are a couple of things that you can see there are like next things on the list, but you don't see like the entire sentence. And people are speculating that maybe it's something secretive to the point where they don't want to reveal it yet because it's gonna blow everyone's brains out. Because they've already mentioned like the port's up in the front. They've already mentioned like some of the other shit that he's done. Those him traveling the world type of deal. So the list is very vague in a way because it's hiding out a few certain details. So it's pretty good. And then the other thing that's gotten a lot more people talking on the Smash speculation, which I find kind of funny. So the top cover of Crash's box, which has his in area and stuff, so he's definitely traveling. Basically, what happened is that you don't see like the entire cover of the box, but what you do see, however, is basically a couple things. You see like this black ziggy zag line. To give you an example, if you ever seen like the Smash 64 logo, it's something like that. That's like the best way I could describe it. It's basically that, and right in front of it, or not right in front of it, but right below it, literally right below it, it's basically like a white oval, like sort of shaped like an egg, and then right in the middle that you can see, right in the middle is basically like a red sortish oval as well. It basically looks like the flag of Japan. And a lot of people are speculating that he's going to go to Japan at some point because he already went to India, he already went to Australia, he already went to Europe, so Japan is obviously the next choice. Now, the reason why people are more speculative on that front and more excited for this is because they're trying to make the connection that maybe Crash will go to Japan, and when he goes to Japan, maybe he'll try to get something going for Smash Brothers and stuff like that. So it's just maybe that's what he's going to do. Now, obviously, they're not going to include that into the social media post where he does actually travel there. They're probably just going to do like a, green screen with Japan in the back, and then you have Crash Bandicoot walking around in his man costume, and then they say, yeah, he went to Japan. But I guess the real reason why people are speculating about that is because they maybe think that, if he's going to go to Japan, and with the fact that there's like one spot left, maybe that gives him more of a better incentive to like not actually join for him to do, but more so like incentive that he might be next. So to me, overall, if you want my full opinion about that image in itself, I don't think there's anything wrong with the image in question. I think the image itself is like really good art, and I think it does a pretty good job of like sprinkling in some of the stuff for his 25th anniversary. I'm not going to read too much into the fact that, this may or may not be for Smash. Because, obviously, number one, they're not going to fucking tell you on, like, that social media post. Because if that would be the case, then there's no point in the reveal. So what I think is that I think as far as a Smash reveal for Crash, obviously, it won't be for a while. because that's what basically that's what Sakurai said in one of his interviews. Is that or not one of his interviews? He basically said that in the last Sakurai Presents, where he was like, "Oh, don't expect the next reveal for a while," and he said this in June. So basically, I feel as that it's not gonna be in July because obviously that'd be way too quick. Not gonna be in August, maybe September, maybe October, I guess, sorta. This November. Well, they did say that December will be they'll have all the DLC released by then. So maybe November, October, the September, something like that. I feel like if a Smash reveal happens in September, I feel like maybe his odds increase a bit. But to increase to the point where it's guaranteed, I am not sure. That I am not too sure about. Maybe that'll be the case. Maybe that wouldn't be. Um, but what I will say though, however, is that I don't think it's guaranteed at this point because I feel like his his strongest point to really come in would have been like this past E3. But obviously they thought otherwise. So, and obviously they never. There have been like some other characters that were speculated about joining in Smash during like their anniversaries, and then it never happened. Like they literally one of the guesses or speculation points was that maybe Ryu Hayabusa would join Smash on like his birthday, but that didn't happen. Well, actually, it did happen on his birthday, but it wasn't Ryu Hayabusa. It wasn't. So I think as far as like that's concerned, it's not too certain, and I don't want to give myself like too much false hope that maybe it will be, because I feel like it's just probably not gonna happen at the moment, nor it probably wouldn't. I would actually love to see it so bad, but I'm just gonna keep myself very cautiously optimistic. So that's just where I feel. That's what I feel about this at the moment, where I really want to see him in Smash, but I also realize that his better time to come in would have been like this past E3, but whatever. Actually, funny enough, that was already a segue that wasn't even mentioned at all to the Crash and Smash topic. So there you go. But I think overall for his 25th, to summarize both of them, I think for his 25th anniversary they could do a lot better, and I expect there to be a little bit more in August, but definitely for sure something in August. I mean September, because that's that's the month in which people are pointing to as like his 25th anniversary. So what better way to really, I guess, cap it off than to do something really big on that month? And there's like many things that they could do for that will really capture the energy. Yeah, capture the energy and the tension in a good way, and the whole importance of his 25th anniversary. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the fantastic festivities end up at this point, because I feel like there's a very good chance something might happen then. Not very for Smash per se, but more so like his 25th anniversary just meaning something a little bit more. And as far as Smash is concerned, I still think he has a pretty strong chance in a way, but I also realize that it's not really guaranteed at this point. So I just feel like that out of all the great characters that are left to add with one spot left, he's like a very strong candidate in that sense. But I know some people may have their not necessarily disagreements, but more so like maybe people have like a different perspective on how like that will end, because some people are saying, like the last few that have ended, that Smash Games DLC or whatever have been like underwhelming characters or first party characters, even though technically Corrin wasn't really the end of it, but whatever. And obviously Byleth wasn't really going to be the true end either, because beforehand I think they already said that they were going to do the second Fire Smash, so that wasn't really the end either, was it? So I feel like this last one is going to probably hopefully be like one of those other hype characters again, because this is definitely the last DLC for Smash Ultimate. So if you end it off like a first party, you're not gonna really get that atmosphere. Then people are just gonna be like, oh, they just ended off on that. Okay. Now I'm not saying this because they have to please the fan base. I mean it from the sense of like, you've been working on this game and franchise for so long. This is probably gonna be like the last DLC for a Smash game in like forever, or not forever, but like basically for a very long time. What better way to really start that off than to put in another really good hype character? Like, the headlines would be amazing. You'll get more, obviously, profit to the game. You'll get more, again, headlines to it. You'll get more traction. I just think it'd be a really better way of doing it. My biases might be speaking, but, that's just probably the way it's been. So, whatever. But no, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for Crash Bandicoot. I guess I'll talk about I guess I'll talk about like a few quick topics, and then we'll end off the stream because there's not much to go off of by. The whole thing with the Activision stuff, or Activision Blizzard stuff that was revealed, that was like really fucked up. As you guys may or may not have heard, the California Department of Labor or something like that basically looked into this issue for about a few years, and they basically sued them, I believe. And in the filings, they released some evidence points that are really damaging. Not gonna say this certain part in particular because I don't know if it's like safe to say on the Twitch stream, but basically, let's just say, in a very fucked up way, a fucked up game of hot potato. Yeah, a fucked up game of hot potato. Not gonna give you context. Just look up Activision, look at the filing, and there you go. You'll know exactly why I'm saying it's a hot potato. But no, in all seriousness, it's just really disappointing to see game companies like this really turn out this way. And it just means that there is really no good standards, no actual good workplace ethics that's instilled by like the leadership / management. Like, it's just so upsetting to see. And I feel like really bad for the people infected, especially the women and men. Well, because I'm sure there's like maybe like a few men that were affected by this, but mostly under women, where basically they just feel it's not a fair workplace. It's just a place full of discrimination, sexual harassment, and stuff like that. And I'm glad that this is being brought to light now, because if it wasn't, then people are never gonna like see, and they're just be like, oh, nothing bad happened. We never saw it in the news. But now that's not the case. You have no excuse. You have no valid reason to say that. It's out there in the open. It's out there in the open for you to see. So, that's all there is to it. But no, yeah, I think at the end of that one, not very much to say. But I really do hope and pray that that the situation ends on a good note for the victims and for the ones affected, and just something that I want to see resolved in a good way. So that's something I'll be praying for. And I guess the very last thing of the show I want to talk about is something that happened within the Anipro community that is also just as devastating, just as disgusting, and just as bad. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, I am referring to the situation with Entity Maze. And for those of you that don't know the situation, he was basically exposed as a pedophile. He was basically grooming underage people or kids, so basically girls and boys. And a lot of people were shocked by this. They were very hurt. They were confused, and they were just feeling all sorts of way. And we were all upset that he would scum down to this behavior. It was just to see someone that you knew for a while turn out like this is like one of the saddest things that you'll ever see. It just makes you feel like that maybe you're a shitty friend in a way, because maybe that you just didn't know, and if you knew, you would have done something. So I just feel bad for everyone that's involved. I'm referring to like the actual victims, not the ones that say on Twitter, I'm, trying to make it about themselves when literally they weren't even an actual victim. Like Like there were like a couple of Twitlonkers I read where it gave off that vibe, and I'm like, you're not even, whatever. But basically, to the actual victims like Noah, and I think it was Bun, the second one. I probably got the name wrong. I apologize. But there were basically like a few other females that were affected by this, and I feel incredibly fucked up that this has happened. And I really wish that I knew what was going on. So with him, so that way I could have helped out or maybe stopped this. And I'm sure Zach and Raph feel the same exact way too, because they were his closest associates, friends, brothers, and that's no longer the case. Like, it's just gone. So I just feel that this community could do a lot better. I'm not saying it's the community's fault. I think Ben's a piece of shit. He shall pay for his crimes. But when I mean in the sense of the community should do better, I just want to see this community do better in the sense that, I just want to see this community become better in acceptance, better understanding, and be more open for everyone to be in. For the minors, for the, boomers, for the middle of the pack, referring to like the early 20s, mid 20s, and all age groups. We want this community to be really fair, really accessible, and not just this closed off rich boy, rich girl gated community. We want the Anippo community to be open, inclusive, and we want it to be a safe place for everyone to come in and just talk and play Pokemon. That's it. The fact that we weren't able, that we haven't been able to do that, it's just really unfortunate. And I really do have to, after the situation, there's better emphasis towards that, and we do a much better job of that. And we keep pieces of shit like that guy out of the community. So I'll just end off this episode on like this message, and then we'll go from there. If you're watching this Twitch VOD, or if you're watching this Twitch stream or the YouTube video, and you're doing something wrong that you know it's wrong, but you're doing it anyway, get your fucking shit together, get yourself some help, and reach out to your friends and see what you can do to get rid of the shit, because you cannot hide that for longer. And remember, boys and girls, if you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something. We cannot be quiet for too long. If we see a fucking pedophile, we expose his bitch ass. We expose her bitch ass. We cannot protect the criminals any longer. We gotta, for the safety of the community, for the safety of every person in the community, you gotta expose the criminals. Have to. We cannot continue to sweep under the rug too long. Gotta call it out as it is. Gotta call it out as it is. So, but yeah, overall, I just feel very fucked about the situation. He was a longtime friend of mine since 2014, but unfortunately, not all friendships are last forever. So mine's with him is done. I wish he gets the help, gets the help that he needs. But until he does that, or actually, even if he does get the professional help, I no longer want to be associated with him. Never. So that's just the message I'm going to end off of on this episode. So, just be aware of your surroundings, guys. Know who you're talking to, and just surround yourself with like the people that you can trust. You can trust. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the episode. That's the end of episode 6 of Richie Spots. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. The YouTube video will be up in maybe within a few days. Right now, it's July 24th, 2021. I'm only saying that just because, some people may think, oh, when was this video actually recorded and whatever. So, video was recorded on July 24th, 2021. I turn 24 in about 3 days as of, the day of this recording. So, maybe I'll upload it for my birthday. Who knows? But this video will be out soon. And then from there, we'll probably go back to a normal schedule and the normal way we're doing things. Maybe. We'll see. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy R597. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you're watching this by VOD, if you're watching this, wherever, just thank you for watching. And I'll see you guys for the next episode, Richie Spots. Maybe it'll just be a regular YouTube upload. We'll see. And with that, I'm out of here. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.